All right, welcome back. I got a quick birthday request here from Seth Xenomon Official. So your birthday request was Craig of the Creek versus Shadow House. Now, I don't particularly follow these very much, but I can already tell you the immediate. So Craig of the Creek is a show that I'm not overly familiar with. Neither is Shadow House. But that said, however, there is an inherent, what's the best way to put it, for a fight anyway, there's an inherent world issue, I guess is the best way to put it. And that is the fact that in Craig of the Creek, to the best of my knowledge, from what I can find, and I'll even Google this right now to be sure I'm not talking out my ass here. Is there magic in Craig of the Creek? So is there actual magic in Craig of the Creek? So everything that happens in the show relating to power, since these are clearly imaginative, as though other things heavily imply themselves to be magic because they involve physical. Okay. While Craig of the Creek is not shown explicitly about magic in traditional sense, it does heavily feature elements of childhood imagination and fantasy that could be represented in magic. Children's Adventure in Creek. So yeah, that's the problem right there with Craig of the Creek that it has in this scenario. Is there magic in Shadow House? Is that Craig of the Creek, for all the wonderful stuff that probably happens in it, it is like kind of Kids Next Door-ish, where, hey, and even in Kids Next Door, you can make the argument that the Kids Next Door is all just the adventures these kids had in their heads, really, and like the villains they fought were not truly villains. But even regardless, like Craig of the Creek, everything I've found, it really is just kids being imaginative, and these things they're going through are more just going in their heads, how they're interpreting things in actual magic. Whereas in Shadow House, there is just straight out magic in Shadow House. So just specifically form of soot magic, which is the ability to manipulate and control soot. The ability is a key aspect of Shadow House. Where living dolls, which are a artificial being, living dolls serve as attendants to faceless shadow lords. The shadows also possess magical abilities such as the power to create and control shadows. There's also other magical elements, supernatural occurrences. Like right on the basis of that alone, that world trumps Craig of the Creek. And therefore, like the strongest of Craig of the Creek gets beaten by the strongest of Shadow House. So it'd be Shadow House. I mean, it's kind of a boring answer, but you're just putting two worlds that are not compatible against each other. That's what it is. If you were, say, putting something that has minor magic in it, I'm trying to think of like a show that has at least some. Let me put it this way: if you're putting against any magical show, even if the magic is like beyond like the Marvel verse levels of magic, yeah, Marvel would win. But at least now there's a conversation to be had about how magics interact. Here, there's nothing there, unfortunately. So yeah, in terms of world to world, it'd be Shadow House. That's my thoughts. Happy birthday, Seth. See you next.